Hello, and welcome to South Asia Diary with me, Mariam Wardak. Our cover story tonight is about the heat waves in India. For millions of people living in South Asian countries, the summer comes with its woes. Rising mercury and the blazing sun led to multiple health problems, sometimes even death. Record temperatures have been reported almost every year. And behind the extreme weather condition is the world's common foe, global warming. We will tell you about the impact of climate change on millions of South Asians. Also on the show,
Maldives announces plan to reclaim land from the ocean as activists warn of biosphere damage. Sri Lanka runs out of life-saving medicines. Doctors say the shortage will lead to avoidable deaths. Thousands of Afghans fear for their livelihood a month after the Taliban announced ban on drug cultivation. And Pakistan's grand debut at the Cannes Film Festival.
a recent report published by the World Weather Attribution Group says that the extreme summer in South Asia is just a trailer for what is about to come. Experts warn that if the planet continues to warm at such a rapid rate, then these devastating heat waves will get more frequent and its results more dire.
India recorded its warmest ever April this year. Average temperature neared 50 degrees Celsius in many regions. There was power crisis and shortage of water as heatwave prevailed. Researchers working at the World Weather Attribution Group say that long heat waves that impact a massive geographical area are rare. They happen once in 1,000 years. But the current level of global warming aided by human-caused climate change has made those heat waves 30 times more likely.
I think right now the scientific evidence is overwhelming in concluding that this kind of event is becoming more and more frequent, more intense because of climate change, and indeed this is a sign of things to come.
Experts say that if global temperatures rise 2 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels, then heat waves like this could occur twice in a century and up to once every 5 years. Just living in heat like this is a danger to health. Millions do not even have access to air conditioning or cooling systems. The rising heat puts stress on bodies and its ability to work, resulting in severe health problems.
When I get back home, there is no electricity. Water only comes once in 2 days. Vegetables don't stale in the refrigerator. We face this throughout the summers. We come here in the morning and work and go back in the scorching heat.
South Asia is the most affected when it comes to heat stress. India alone is home to more than a third of the world's population that lives in areas where extreme heat is rising. Experts say that the heat wave underscores the need for the world to not just combat climate change by cutting down greenhouse gas emissions, but to also adapt to its harmful impacts as quickly as possible. Some Indian cities have tried to find solutions. The western city of Ahmedabad was the first in South Asia to design a heatwave plan for its population of over 8.4 million. This was way back in 2013.
You have these NGOs which are women driven, and they have been quite successfully operating across different sectors of the socio-economic sectors. So they involved these NGOs and they converted all the roofs of slums, which were typically made of, let's say, aluminium or tin, to something called mod roofs, which is like a combination of natural fibers or cardboard, and then you paint them white. So at least, you have a cool roof.
The Indian government has also called on states to sensitize health workers on managing heat-related illnesses. Authorities have been asked to ensure that ice packs, oral rehydration salts and cooling appliances in hospitals are made available. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
It started with depleting forex reserves, then came the fuel crisis. Sri Lanka's inflation levels have shot through the roof. We have reported on the large queues to stock up on basic necessities. And if that was not troubling enough for the 22 million Lankans, there is now a shortage of medicine. Sri Lanka's financial crisis has become a matter of life and death for its people.
Sri Lanka's financial crisis is having a spillover effect on the country's other sectors. What started with depleting forex reserves has now snowballed into an acute shortage of medicines. This is a hospital on the outskirts of Colombo. The Apeksha Cancer Hospital is a 950-bed facility, which means that thousands of patients are dependent on this hospital for their lives. Unfortunately, this facility has fallen victim to the country's medicine shortage.
Because as a government hospital, we depend on the government supplies. So sometimes even in the morning, we plan for major surgeries, which we may not be able to do it on that particular day, as it is not there. So it will, it's very bad for the cancer patient, because the cancer will grow and has a bad effects on the patient outcome.
Doctors say that they are being forced to postpone life-saving procedures and that the lack of necessary drugs could soon cause avoidable deaths.
Even at the present situation is endangering to their lives. So I can't make it any more comments. It's a death penalty will be there.
The shortage of drugs has sparked fear in the minds of Sri Lankans. For them, it is a matter of life and death.
Now we are really scared. Previously we at least had some hope because we had medication, but now we are living under tremendous fear. We are really helpless. Our future is really dark. We don't have money to take our child abroad for treatment either.
Our lives are at risk. Because of that, we're always living in fear. We don't know whether we will have medicines or not. We hope and pray for this ailment to be healed as soon as possible, and that the necessary medicines and treatments will be made available not only for me but for everyone. I pray for the healing of all patients in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka imports 80% of its medical supplies. But with foreign currency reserves running out, essential medications are disappearing from shelves. Government officials responsible for procuring medical supplies say that around 108 essential items could run out soon. They include injections for dialysis patients, medicines for organ transplant patients, and crucial cancer drugs. Officials say that if not procured quickly, the shortage of these supplies can drive the Lankan healthcare system to near collapse. Allies India and Japan are helping Sri Lanka procure the supplies. But the aid could take months to arrive. Local media reports say that Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has instructed the Ministry of Health to submit its report on the drug crisis and is also looking at possible options to buy medicines. Government decisions take time. Money will not be flowing into Sri Lanka anytime soon. And waiting is the one thing these patients cannot afford. For them, every minute is crucial. These lives can be saved, and this crisis could have been averted had the country's leadership made better economic decisions. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
Almost a year has gone by since the Taliban first took over Kabul, and with every passing month, the rulers of Afghanistan are going back to their extreme policies of the 90s. The group has outlawed the cultivation of drugs across the country, and this includes the opium poppy, a source of livelihoods for thousands of Afghans.
These are Afghanistan's flourishing poppy farms. They account for 11% of the country's GDP and is now the latest entry to the hit list of Afghanistan's new rulers. Last month, the Taliban announced a ban on cultivation of drugs and even warned that the hardline group would crack down on farmers who go against the government's orders. The Taliban's diktat is exactly what thousands of Afghans feared.
If this plant's cultivation is closed, we will be forced to steal. There is no use in other crops, no maize and no pomegranate, not enough to cover your hands.
This is not the first time the fundamentalist group has vowed to outlaw the trade. Production was banned in the year 2000, just before the group was overthrown by US-led forces. And even that did not stop the Taliban. During their 20-year insurgency against foreign forces, the Taliban heavily taxed farmers cultivating the crop in areas under their control. It eventually became their prime resource to generate funds.
If this season stops, we went to the Musakala district. We hide from debt, we hide from theft. If our work and economic situation is very bad, if it is closed, it will hurt us a lot.
However, not everyone is against it. Some have even favored the ban as a way forward for Afghanistan. They call it the route to self-dependency.
If the Taliban government stops this poppy cultivation, let them help us, let the world help us to be self-sufficient. We don't like this crop either. We are not happy about this season either, but our next generation will be addicted too. We work this season here out of compulsion. 20 years of war have passed in this country, and every household is in debt, unable to support its children. If this crop stops, we will have a problem.
Taliban's ban on opium can also be seen as a means to impress the West, a way to get funds rolling in. During their 2 decades in Afghanistan, the United States and NATO forces tried to curb poppy cultivation. They paid farmers to grow alternative crops such as wheat or saffron. But even in the face of a ban, Afghan media has reported that the production of opium has increased in Helmand and Kandahar province. Putting an absolute end to the production of opium is not as easy as it sounds. Afghanistan has a hegemony in the global heroin market. In the country's south, at least one person in each family either owns or works at a poppy field, and killing their source of income will push a financially paralyzed Afghanistan down the path of devastation. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
A teenager in Nepal has set a new world record. The Guinness Book of Records have confirmed the 17-year-old adolescent as the world's shortest male teen.
I feel sorry for my brother as he could not grow well. At the same time, I am happy that he has received a world record certificate. I hope my brother gets support for his education.
That's all we have for you on this episode of South Asia Diary. We'll be back next week with a brand new lineup of stories. Until then, stay safe. I am Mariam Wardak, and you are watching WION World is One.